Hi, and welcome back to Build Your Own Data Logger, the virtual course run by Freaklabs and WildLabs. This is Module 3, Submodule 3, Analog to Digital Converters, and Lab 3B. Give me your voltage! I command you! We'll actually be referring to it as command line battery status from now on. In the previous subsection, we learned how to read the battery voltage on the Wildlogger board. In this lab, we're going to turn it into a command on the command line. The goal of this lab is to create a command on the command line so we can read the battery status. Having a command to read the battery status accomplishes a couple of things. First, it acts as a way we can test our code interactively. We'll be able to make changes to the command line code and immediately see how they behave. Also, it fits into our strategy of baby steps towards building our application. In embedded development, so many things can possibly go wrong, which is why we recommend taking a cautious approach towards development so it's easier to isolate bugs as soon as they appear. This lab will actually go quite quickly since it's nothing new by now. We'll be creating a command to read the battery voltage. Let's get straight to the code. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's take a look at our code. First, we've pulled in the command line library by including command Arduino. Next, similarly to the last lab, we've used pound defines to create constants to make our code more readable. Again, we set up an int variable called pinbat, which holds the pin that we'll be measuring the battery voltage on, A6. In the setup, we use pin mode to set pinbat to an input. Then, initialize our command line library with a baud rate of 57600. After that, we print out our title header. Now, we add our command with the keyword of bat, mapping to our function commandBat. In the loop, we just have command.poll, which will poll our command line for anything that's typed in. If there's a match for any of our keywords, it'll call that function and send any arguments to it. Now, we create our command function commandBat. We add in our arg count and args argument, which make up our boilerplate code for the command function. Once inside, we have the same code we used in the previous lab to calculate and display both the ADC value from the battery and the battery voltage. This time, it won't loop though, so we don't need to add a delay. This code will just get called when we type the command. Now that that's taken care of, let's compile and upload our code and see how it works. Here we are at the command line. You can see the title header. Now, let me type bat and voila! Okay, it helps if I plug in the battery also. Let's try it again. Voila! We can get the battery voltage. Now we can add another command to our belt. Hopefully you can see that having an interactive way to test out our code is a useful tool in gaining confidence that our code and hardware is working as it should. In this submodule, we learned how the analog to digital converter works, how to read the battery voltage on the Wildlogger, and created a new command for our battery monitoring functional block. In the next submodule, we'll learn how to set and get the time and date using a real-time clock, and why that's going to be very useful for our data logger. Stay tuned for Module 3, Submodule 4, Real-Time Clock.